Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. I cherish today the honor to be present in front of you all and to be able to communicate with you in times when the world is literally falling apart. So, ladies and gentlemen, I now officially welcome you to the online webinar series brought to you by Debates and Literary Club, Bahria University Medical and Dental College, Karachi. So it all began around like 2 months back when the intellects of this society had our very first meeting online at Teams, and we thought what we could do as a society in these hard times to make people feel a bit less pessimist. Because let's be honest, it has already been 5 months. We are all quarantined in our homes. And I say this with certainty that there must have been at least a single moment in all this time where you would have felt extremely bored, extremely worn out, and extremely pessimist. So we thought, why not to share whatever little knowledge, whatever little information, and whatever little experience we have in this very field with you. And I am honestly surprised to show you the success by the meeting attendees here, not just only the people from Bahria, but from other medical colleges, other universities, and literally every field of work are here today. Thank you so much. I am truly honored. So I'll be sharing my presentation with you now, and meanwhile, let me introduce myself with you. For those who already know me, and also for those who do not really know me, and in order to prevent the feeling of being lectured, let me tell you, I am Zartab Nazneen Malik, a third-year MBBS student, currently serving as the Director of English Department of Debates at Bahria University Medical and Dental College, Karachi. I am a resident of Islamabad. I have completed my schooling and college from Army Public School and College, Westridge 3, Rawalpindi. This institution is so close to my heart because it nourished my fragile soul and personality into whatever you see me as today. I have served as house captain for 3 consecutive years at the APSEX and have been able to won all APSEX debate competition consecutively for 3 years. I was often referred as a theta in my school and college days, though some of you might already be laughing by hearing this, but that's actually true. So there was an era in my life where I actually was a bookworm, but that time has actually passed. I am now into a field where I always wanted to be, and I am actually very much content with my life. So here is a little piece of advice that I would like to begin with today, that never put yourself at ease with any achievement that you attain in your life, because what stops you from being you is actually the you in you. Okay, I might be sounding quite crazy here, but this was just something I really wanted to share with you. Always keep putting strategies in front of you. Always keep setting goals, and always keep achieving. Because once you stop doing that, you're already out of the race. So let's just officially begin with today's workshop. The topic that I have brought to you is basically the power of speech, igniting the speaker in you. I would like to ask, is my presentation visible to you?
Yes, it is.
All right, so let's begin.
Yes, sir.
The slide you see here is basically an overview slide, and I want you all to keep looking into this slide for just like a second, because these are all the 5 points my entire presentation would be revolving around, and I will be trying my best to make these 5 points understandable to you. So today we will begin with interpretation of speech. I would like to explain to you the actual and the literal meanings of speech, reflecting the power of speech. This very point is the most important point here because that's the actual topic, ladies and gentlemen, and it's very close to my heart because I actually want to tell you the power of speech. Next, we will be moving towards quite professional things, and I will be giving you a quick review of the official forms of speech. We will then discuss tricks for an effective speech, and this very point is the one which you surely do not want to miss because I will be sharing some real great tips that can make you a very good public speaker, or at least it can help you. Last but not the least, we would be discussing the rules of speech, and this very point is again very much necessary. So let's just begin. What is speech? For a second, I want you all to think in your minds, what do we mean by speech? I might be sounding a bit crazy here because come on, who does not know what speech means? And yes, you're quite right. Even Google says that speech is human vocal communication using the language ability of by expressing thoughts in order to communicate to someone through the articulation of words and sounds. Some of you might be thinking that because I am a member of a debate society, so I might be addressing here the actual formal oratory, and I might be referring to the formal address which is discoursed to a group of audience. Yes, you are right. This is what speech means. But pardon me, because I completely disagree to this very definition of speech. Because for me, speech is literally everything we do. Because speech for me is the ability to think, it is the ability to write, reflect, dream, show gestures, and finally to talk. It has already been 5 to 10 minutes since this meeting has started. And most of you, in fact, all of you would have already made an opinion about me. You must have thought in your mind that some of you might be thinking, oh, she's going a bit too fast. Some of you might be thinking she's a bit nervous. Come on, how will she be able to tell us what public speaking is? While others might be saying, oh, she is good. And some of you might be thinking she looks pretty. And I hope you really think the last two options. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're actually talking to your mind. You're actually thinking all this. If this is not speech, then tell me what is. You're talking to your minds. You are not saying anything literally, but you are speaking. Speech for me is the ability to write. Tell me the names of the greatest writers of this world. Who were they? The best influencers we ever had. Did they ever spoke a word to a audience or a group of audience? No, they always showed what they wanted to tell, and they always communicated through their writings. For me, they were the greatest speakers. The ability to reflect. Speech is actually, in the most purest form, its ability to reflect. I don't know about most of you, but for me, the person I talk to most of the time of my day is actually me, myself. Yes, I talk to myself the most. I am always reflecting thoughts and ideas in my own mind. It's not that I'm verbally talking to myself, but yes, let's just be honest, we talk to ourselves the most. So that's the most purest form of speech for me. You are actually speaking when you are dreaming, the actual dreams or the literal dreams, because there you're planning your future. You are speaking in your dreams. Yes. Okay, what did I just do? I actually didn't speak anything. I showed you a gesture. I waved at you. I asked you to be quiet, and then I was quite anxious about what I was doing. So these were all gestures. Did I even speak a word to you? No, but I actually communicated to you. So, yes, showing gestures is yet another form of speech, and finally, the ability to talk. So, whoever is listening to me today, whoever is present here today, I want to tell you that you all are a born speaker. So, moving on, I hope I was able to make you understand the actual and the literal meanings of speech. So, the question is, can everyone become a speaker? Of course, yes, you can become a speaker because you have already been bestowed with this very quality. You are born with it, you have it in your soul. But all you need is dedication, effort, and what most is that you just need to stand up and start speaking, because even a common citizen has a voice. He can speak up just like any great leader. So this was the very first point that I wanted to tell you all, that speech is not what we have all been thinking so far, that it is only the formal address or it is just a means of communication through your mouth. No, you can speak with whatever medium you have, and you all are born speakers. So congratulations, this workshop is for all of you because you all are a born speaker. So let's move on to our point number 2, and that very point is today's topic, the power of speech. So now, since we all know that we are born speakers, but still the question here is, why do we need to speak? What is the importance of speaking up? Why do we need to communicate, and why do we need to share ideas to the people or talk to them? Or why you, and some of you might actually be thinking why these universities and institutes hold up these declamatory contests and public speaking contests. You might have put this question to your mind at some time in your life. So congratulations, I'll be explaining and answering all of your questions now. Look into this slide, a very basic one. You can see people who you already know. So basically, who are these people? Can someone of you unmute your mic and tell me names randomly of any 1 or 2 persons that you're able to identify? Anyone? Am I audible to you?
Lama Iqbal.
Yes. Anyone else that you're able to recognize?
Mr. Bean.
Okay, great. Anyone else who wants
Malala
to?
Yousafzai.
Yes.
Obama.
Congratulations.
Barack
Okay.
Obama.
Okay, seems like
Nelson Mandela.
yes.
Sir Tariq. Lady Diana.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. So all of you are actually able to recognize these people. So this is what I wanted to tell you, was that this is the power of speech. You have never met, probably never met any of them in your life, but you know all of them because they are the greatest speakers the world has ever seen. Yes, all of them were not the literal public speakers, and most of them that you can see here were not actually debaters, but yes, we know them as the greatest influencers of this world. Allama Muhammad Iqbal, the greatest poet of our nation. The basic medium for the spread of his message was his poetry. Lady Diana, yet one of the most influencing women of this world. Nelson Mandela, the first Black president of South Africa. Bill Gates, the richest and the most influential people of the world right now. Mr. Newton, who presented to you the entire physics, Barack Obama, one of the greatest debater of this world, Mr. Bean, he never spoke to us. He always made us laugh. He always communicated to us by just showing his gestures. So for me, he was one of the greatest speakers. Kapil Sharma, yet another growing comedian these days. We all know him, most of us at least do, and he is the one who entertains us. Malala Yousafzai, another influencer, another young growing woman who has all the spark to talk to people and tell them and share with them the rightful message. And last, the gem we have just recently lost, Mr. Tariq Aziz. I say this with my love for him, that he was one of the greatest speakers we could have ever seen. So in short, what I want to tell you is we actually know all of these people, and this very point actually proves the power of speech. What is the need to speak? Why all these people actually spoke, or why should we participate in public speeches? We should, because they help us in development of a critical thinking. They help to improve our communication skills, verbal, non-verbal, and it helps us to overcome the fear of public speaking, one of the greatest fears of this world. It helps to change your thoughts. It helps to change the perspectives you see with the things with. So let's talk. Please talk. Please speak up. In general, why do we speak? We speak to actually communicate to someone, to communicate to our family, to inform someone, to educate, to entertain, to influence, to persuade. So these are the common things we speak up for. But is this all? Is this all? Why should we speak? There's a Quranic ayah that I want to share with you. And Allah says to us, stand out firmly for justice as witness to Allah, even if it be against yourself or your parents and relatives. So this has been our religious obligation since the very beginning, to always stand up against injustice, or to always stand up against against anything that you think is not right, because this is your duty as a human being. Every voice actually matters. Now, by standing up, do we actually mean to go and sit in a talk show and talk to a large group of audience and to share our message? No, you do not need that. All of you who are here today, I am sure you must have your social media handles. You must have quite a good number of followers. What if you share a post related to the Palestine? It would not actually help the people of Palestine, but it would at least help your friends or your few followers to at least know the situation. They will then tell further people, and at least this is the least thing that you can do. You can inform others about what's happening. So yes, you should speak up. You need to speak up. Moving on, we need to stand up, as I just already told you, but why actually? Should we just do it out of like our confidence or concern? But no, not only that, it's our religious obligation. It's our cultural norm, and it is one of our social duties. It is our duty as a human being to speak up, because we have a voice. We do not need a mic and a stage to speak up. We can speak by whatever means we have. We can write, we can influence people by whatever means we have. So I could not stress upon this point more. Please speak up. In these times, in this era where actually every voice matters, what you should, people like you, intellectual people should do is that you need to speak up. I was quite emotional on this point, but I wanted to deeply tell you what is the power of speech and what change can we all bring. You have a speaker in you. You're all born with that very talent. So let's move on to our next slide. And this is now our point number 3. So I am now taking you towards the official topics, the professional forms of the speech. This is what you were waiting for, and now I can actually share with you some of the official forms of public speaking. So in journal, when we say public speaking, so we're talking about a person speaking to the public, being able to communicate to the public. But then again, if we speak in particular, there are these 5 major forms of public speaking. Public speaking itself, because we now tag this as a separate category. Next is declamation, debate. Further, 2 forms of debates, parliamentary debates and MUN. I would now be giving you a brief introduction to all of them. Public speaking. Ladies and gentlemen, public speaking is actually the very process to talk to a group of people in a very structured and deliberated manner. This is one of the most ancient forms of speech, and it is actually the most common and most purest form of speech in public speaking. You basically address a large group of audience all by yourself. The stage is all yours. You can stand anywhere, even at the rostrum or even at the center of the stage. There is no hard and fast rule for you. You can hold the mic in your hand, adjust it to a stand or whatever you feel comfortable with. The basic thing that you need to know in a public speaking is that you must be able to communicate with your audience in the most possible form. You are basically addressing your audience in the most direct manner that you can. Here the language can be both formal and informal, and the biggest clue and the biggest virtue of public speaking is that, or the biggest relief it gives you is that you can be using any language. You can be bilingual in public speaking. This is a new era that we have shown to public speaking, and now we generally see public speaking as the speeches of the great motivational speakers. So public speaking is the first form of speech that we will be discussing. It is the most purest form. You can stand anywhere on your stage. You can just address the audience in whatever manner you like. Yes, if you participate in a public speaking contest where you are competing with other persons, there are a set of rules, but let's just discuss them further when I'll be giving you the tips. Moving on to the second point of today's discussion, that is declamation. So you see this picture of me here where I'm actually in a declamatory contest. Declamation is yet another artistic and the most ancient forms and the major domain of oration. It is a dramatic oration designed to express feelings. It is designed to show emphasis on a particular topic that is shown to you. In short, this is the actual way or the actual thing we call speech. The journal speech competitions in our colleges, they're actually the declamatory contests. So in a speech, you are given a topic where you can never oppose it. You have to stand for that topic. You are bounded to your rostrum. You cannot be standing anywhere on the stage. Your language has to be formal. You cannot mostly be bilingual, but it then again depends upon the very environment you are performing in. And last but not the least, you cannot use any slang. So declamation is yet another easy, simple form. You have to speak up up for the topic that is given to you. It's an easiest way to communicate to a large group of people, but yes, here you are bounded to some of the rules. Moving on, the debate or the debate contest. So this is the thing that actually makes me very excited. So what is a debate actually? A debate is the process that involves a formal discussion on a particular topic. In a debate, you're given a topic which you can choose to favor or to go against. So you have an option here. As the word itself indicates, it is a debate where opposing arguments are put forward to basically prove the point. You can have one or more opponents depending upon who has chosen to stand for or against the topic. It depends on you how many companions you might have. Again, depends upon how many people have chosen to second the motion that you have chosen. Debate, the common form of debate is the most purest form where all the rules and regulations must need to be followed. You are bounded to a rostrum. You must choose a formal language. You must follow the time limit. You must follow all the rules which I will be sharing in the further slides. Moving on, we will be now talking about the parliamentary debates. Parliamentary debates, as the name signifies, is actually a personification or a model of the very parliament. It is basically an academic event, debate event, which is mostly set in most of the universities as a model of the parliament, not literally related to the actual parliament, except for the fact that you have an opposing team and a prime minister team. As you can see in this very picture here, AMC and KEMU are two teams that are against one another. One of it personifies as the presidential team and the other personifies as the opposing team. Here they are basically having an argument. The arguments would definitely be upon the legislative rules and regulations, and this is the most purest form of the speech, of the debate, where you need to follow set of rules. The topic is given to you only 14 to 15 minutes back, so you must have a good prior knowledge, which I will be discussing further. How to have that. You can choose to prove your motion, or actually you can give points to other team to prove theirs. So it's actually a sort of debate where you have to prove your point, and you're either in the opposing party or either you're in the presidential party. Moving on, MUN, Model United Nations. To be honest, I won't go into the very depths of this topic, because inshallah we will be having a separate workshop for MUNs for all those who really want to learn what MUNs are. So as the name signifies, a Model United Nation is actually an educational simulation in which students can learn about diplomacy, international relations, and the United Nations. So it is actually a competition or an environment stimulated in a form where it personifies the United Nations. The participants here are referred as delegates from different countries, as in the UN. Here you're given a notion where you have to prove your points. MUNs mostly last for 2 to 3 days. You're given different challenges to prove your points, and basically it is the most difficult form of debate to actually do, and it is the exact model of the UN. So if you really want to know more about it, don't forget to subscribe for the upcoming workshop. These were all the 5 types of the speech or the public speaking that I really wanted to tell you was. I know most of you must already know them, but yes, there are people who really want to come forward and join public speaking, but they are confused among these. So I hope I was able to clear the doubts today. This was the point number 3 of my workshop. So so far so good. I hope you are able to understand all these points. Moving on to the most interesting point of today's workshop, I will be sharing with you the forms of basically the tricks for an effective speech. Here, I will tell you what are the components for a successful speech. So first thing that you need, this point is going to be quite a bit long, so please hold on, and you do not have to basically hurry up. This is something you really do not want to miss. So what are the components of a successful speech? There are two basic components: the content, the delivery. The heart and soul of whatever form of speech you're participating in is its content and delivery. Moving on, we will begin with explaining to you the first integral part, that is the content. A wise man once said, "Don't raise your voice, improve your argument." So content is the heart and soul of your speech. I could not stress more upon this. Your content is what decides about your future in public speaking. So these are the 3 things you can see on your screens, which are the parts of a solid content, or what I think are the parts of the solid content. This is purely my theory. You're free to disagree, but I hope this is the best trick that you need to adopt. Seriously, trust me. Dramatic start, a climax, and a subtle closure. Okay. Look, what a solid content actually has is a dramatic start. It is already 40 minutes. Most of you might already be bored. I hope you're not, but most of you might have already lost interest. And this actually happens when we are having a very huge audience. So when you are called to the stage, it is your turn. The audience has already become so much tired listening to so many speakers that you actually need to put a lot of effort to gain audiences' attraction. So that can only be achieved with a very dramatic start. I will explain these 3 points to you by giving you examples here. How can you have a dramatic start? I was actually I was actually delivering a public speech. I participated in NUST, and there was a speech contest. Since I was by then studying at AP6 and I was in my FSC level, so my turn was quite late, and mostly the audience was actually rooting up for their own colleges and universities, and I, so sorrowfully saying, had actually very little or no audience, to be very honest. And the topic was unity is strength. Too basic, too simple, but let me tell you, the simple topics are the difficult to speak on them, because people already know a lot about them. So this was a public speaking contest. How I gained audiences' attraction: I went to the podium. Did anyone raise their hands? All right. If you actually have any questions, please wait. We will have a question answer session at the end, inshallah. All right, so how can you have a dramatic start? In that very competition, I went to the stage and I asked the audience, I'm really confused today. Can you please cheer me up by clapping up for me? But there's one request that I want to make. Can you please clap with your one hand like this? And I really want it to be loud. I waited, and the audience was actually stunned. What a fool she is, what she's trying to say here, what point she's trying to make. Even those who were busy with their phones by then were actually looking at me, probably with a satire. And then I made my point. Yes, you cannot clap with one hand, but that is the very power of unity. So I was able to tell them that unity is strength. You need both of your hands to clap. So this is how you can have a dramatic start to your speech or whatever part you have. Moving on to declamation. In order to further explain you climax and a subtle closure, I'll now choose a topic of a debate origin. And this is an imaginary topic I have decided today, and I will be giving you examples to explain how can you write a good content for it. The topic is, let's suppose it is, poverty is not the major reason of our decline. So let's suppose we are against this topic and we say poverty is the major reason of our decline. I hope you're all getting my point. I am giving you an example. I'm trying you all to think and imagine you are in a debate contest. A topic has been assigned to you. Poverty is not the major reason of our decline, and you say poverty is the major reason of your decline, and you choose to go against the topic. So how can we have a dramatic start, a climax, and a subtle closure in this very topic? Ladies and gentlemen, whenever you are in a debate competition, always remember to make it very clear what your stance actually is. Have you chosen to go for the topic or go against it? So go to your podium after you have had a very good start, a dramatic start, just like I had it in the given previous example. You can then say, I strongly disagree to the topic that is being discussed today. Or you can say, if you are for the topic, you can say, I completely agree to today's topic. You need full power, full potential to tell the audience you are against it or you're for it. So now we have decided to go against the topic. Poverty is not the major reason of our decline. In this case, you can have a dramatic start by making a point here. You basically need your audience to look at you, to hear to you, and to listen to you. How can you actually do that? Now, convincing people is the most difficult thing you will ever find to do. You can begin like create drama and say, cries, pain, sufferings, poverty, injustice, and unrest. All such things lead to millions of suicide attempts and corrupt practices prevailing every day. Whenever I switch on to a news channel, I don't receive a shock hearing the news of a husband killing his wife and children because of hunger. Okay, I hope most of you were actually focusing on me now, because now you saw I was now sounding quite different. I have created a drama. I have put all my emotions and I have now begin with my debate. Once you have a dramatic start, you have your audience with you, now you need to move on. So between the dramatic start and the climax, now is the time to give a very good example or any short story related to your very topic, a point, a story where you actually are proving your point in one way or another. In order to prove your points in a debate or an argument, never just directly say it. Always create some melody. Always choose good words. So in this case, where you want to really tell the audience that poverty is the major reason of our national decline, what short story can you create? Come on, there's so many examples we see every day. All you need is to put it in the most emotional form that the audience has their hearts for you and they actually say whatever you're saying is perfect. So for example, what short story can you give here? Yesterday morning, I was sitting in my car. It was a bright sunny morning. I was looking outside my window, and there was a young boy. His eyes were shining as bright as they can. I looked at him. He was covered in rags. He was covered in rags and was holding a stack of newspapers. He was selling on the road barefoot, and in a flash, a car passed over him and crushed him to pieces. My mind could not think anymore, and the only one word I could hear all over was poverty, poverty, and poverty. So, what did I actually do here? I presented a very short story, something that's actually not very uncommon. And yes, poors are crushed like that on roads every day, but no one actually cares. So you have presented a very ordinary story in a very dramatic way, and you have gained your audience, and you have made your point that poverty is the major reason of our decline. So you are now good to go towards your climax. Now, climax is the point. Climax is the point of your content where you raise the highest point of your debate. Here, you are, whichever point you think is going to gain your audience's confidence upon whatever you're saying can be chosen to be presented as the climax. In the climax, you're actually directly addressing your audience, and now you actually question them to decide whatever arguments you have presented so far, were they wrong or were they right. So in this case, continuing the same story or the same example I was telling you, what you can say to have a climax, you can say, considering this very example, we all seem fools sitting here and still considering anything as the major reason of our decline except poverty. So now what have you done? You have called the audience a fool. But did they even notice? No, they were so impressed. They were so much convinced by whatever you said that they actually forgot you called them fools for choosing this very topic. So this is how you have raised the highest point. You have raised the biggest question, and you have asked the audience. Now it's their time to think. Can they still think of any other thing as the reason of our national decline? So this was the climax. Moving on, after the climax, you now slowly proceed to a subtle closure. The ending of any debate, any argument, any public speaking or declamation always has to be very subtle and very smooth. In order to move on towards it, you actually need a final quotation or a final proof of your argument and no further discussion of your topic. So here you need a solid quotation. If you can find it, very good. If you cannot, you can look for any other argumentary proof to actually finally close your argument. So in this case, for example, you can say, someone says money can't buy happiness. Ask this to a boy who has not eaten for 2 days and you will get your answer. You finally closed it. You said it. You said it that poverty is the reason of our decline. Now you move towards a subtle closure. And how can you close your topic or your debate in a very polite manner? You can basically say, ladies and gentlemen, you can call me a big pessimist, but the question still says the same. Do we still have another topic to be chosen as the reason of our decline? And then you say, thanks for patient listening, and then you move on. So these are the three integral points you need to remember in the content. I took too long to explain this to you, but let me tell you, a good content is going to decide your future in declamation, public speaking, debate, parliamentary debate, or MUN. And one more point, never have a copied content. A copied content can take you nowhere. Yes, you can pick up good examples, quotations, and any other information points from the internet. You can take examples from as many people as you want. In fact, discuss your content with other people to have different perspectives, but never completely copy a content, because once you do that, the speech is not from your hearts. As this quote here says, the three things to aim at a public speaking: first, to get into your subject, then to get your subject into yourself. You get into your subject, you're searching for it. You got your subject into you. Now you have all the information. And lastly, to get your subject to the hearts of your audiences. And that's only possible if the content is purely yours. Moving on. The second integral point of taking you towards a good debater is actually the delivery. I cannot stress more on this. Let's just overview it quickly. These are the 5 points by which you can improve your delivery. Dress for success. A quotation I've added here says, 90% of how well the talk will go is determined before the speaker actually steps on the platform. How? That's only possible by looking at the speaker. People, how do you see someone who is going to influence you? Obviously, someone who looks physically good. Yes, I'm not sounding very materialistic over here, but this is a fact. We always look up to someone and already make an opinion in our conscious, through our conscious or subconsciousness, that this person can persuade me or cannot. So always dress for success. I cannot stress upon this more. Wear a formal dress. Do not wear colors that are quite very bright, like pure red, royal blue. Do not wear too dull colors like brown, gray. Just dress for success. For boys, always wear a proper dress shirt, a tie, so that it can actually present that you are so composed, because the first look is actually the decider. Moving on, the second point is the tone of your voice. A quote says, a good orator is pointed and impassioned, pointed and emotional. So the tone of your voice is one of the very important things that decides your delivery. English is a language where, in order to prove your point, you cannot be very loud, very slow, but if in order to prove a very good point, you actually need to have a tone in your voice, a good pitch, where you can explain your point by just your voice tone. And it has so much power that it can convince those and make those look at you who are not actually looking at you. Your tone is the decider. And how can you improve it? Practice, practice, and practice. Moving on, the next point is pauses. A quotation says, well-timed silence hath more eloquence than the speech. If you do not pause, and you're saying all of things very quickly, you're giving all the points correctly, you have a good content, good dramatic start, good climax, good ending, but you're just speaking and trying to give all the knowledge you have to your audience, what would they think? She is too high. He or she is too fast. They are not able to understand. What is the point of a speech if the audience is not able to understand you? Your very point has to make the conversation understandable. So timely pauses are one of the most integral point of your delivery. Moving on, one of the most important, most debatable topic of delivery, visual cues. How do you actually look into your audience? Now, this very point here is very debatable. It actually solely depends upon you. For me, if you are well prepared, if you are into a meeting, a conference, a debate, public speaking, where you are fully prepared, fully confident, you have a lot of experience, you need to look into the eyes of your audience, because that is the key. Now, how can you do it if you are less confident? I'll give you a clue here, a trick here. What do you need to do is that if you have a good audience, and the medium where you are is actually a big auditorium, mostly which it is, and what you need to do is that set your gaze over the heads of the people sitting in the front row. By that means, the people in the front row actually think you're looking to the people in the second row, but you're not actually looking at the people in the second row. You're looking at their legs or behind their level, but you do not stay there. Then you move your eyes and do that to the people in the second and third row. Do that to the people in the third and fourth row, and keep doing it. Do not set your gaze to one point. Then look towards right, left, and finally, to make it actually obvious, look into one or two of the persons directly and then move. And one best tip that I want to give here is that if you are in a contest, never forget to look eye to eye into the judges once or twice at least. They should know you're talking to them. They should know you are actually communicating to someone. So don't forget to look. Yes, it becomes very stressful when you have a big audience, and sometimes audience is the biggest distraction you can have. So yes, I guess this is the best clue, best trick you can apply, and it will surely help you. But do not forget to at least have one or two eye contacts. Moving on, your body language. Body language, come on, this is like the most integral part. What is the difference between a dummy and a human, a picture and a video, an audio and a video? It's just like that. So you need to be composed. By body language, I definitely do not mean that you have to move your entire body. No, stay composed. Your chest should be broadened. Your arms need to be moving. Your hands have to be timely moving with whatever you say. For example, if I'm talking to you, my hands move towards you. If I make a point, I raise it like this, but I do not go out of the dice, and I do not sway. I do not move too much. It actually looks bad. So stay composed, hold the rostrum tight, and talk to your audience like a boss. I hope I was able to make it quite clear to you what a good delivery can do. Moving on, I now bring to you, is my presentation visible to you? Tayyib bhai, can you please tell me? Beanish, someone?
Yes, it's loading.
All right. So moving on, I'll now give you quickly 10 tips that can change your speaking skills. Number one, know your material. I could not stress upon this more. Knowing your content is the heart and soul of it. Knowing it means you need to remember it. So knowing your material is the most important thing. And how can you achieve it? Research for it. Best way to conquer straight fright is to know what you're going to talk about. You must know everything about what you have chosen to talk about. In parliamentary debates and MUNs, you have very little time to search, actually, to decide what you're going to do. So what helps there is a prior knowledge, a prior research. You must always have all the language, all the material collected, and remember, Definitely, it needs practice. And yes, a conversational language is the key. You do not need difficult pronunciations. You do not need words where people have to pick up their phones and look into the dictionaries. All you need is an easy language which makes your audience understand you. Moving on, the second tip is practice, 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 and that is what makes you perfect. Practice is the most integral part of whatever you are doing. Now, I'll tell you quickly what are some of the ways you can practice. Mark Twain, one of the greatest influencers of 19th century and my favorite, says, "It usually takes me more than 3 weeks to prepare for a good impromptu speech." So a good practice makes a man perfect. How can you practice? Try to practice with the equipment that you are going to use. Adjusting your mic, try to practice in your mic as much as you can. Practice in front of the mirror. Mirror practice is the best practice. You are actually able to see yourself. You're actually able to set your body language according to the flow of your words. So always do that. Last is that start from an audience at home. You cannot directly go onto a stage and think to succeed. I'm sorry, that's not possible. Everything needs effort. So start from an audience at home. The third point I want to tell you is know your audience. Know your audience. Knowing the environment where you're going to perform matters a lot. You cannot go to a set of an urban area and talk to the people there about the modern technologies in a way where they already know a lot. No, you need to talk to them according to the knowledge and information they have. You can, if you are invited into a school as a great speaker one day, inshallah, which I hope most of you would be, you cannot talk to the children the way you actually talk to an adult conference, because there are points you cannot make children understand. So knowing your audience, who is your target audience, is the great key. Moving on, be sugar high. Being a medical student, I cannot stress more upon this, because a healthy mind has a healthy body has a healthy mind, and a healthy mind has a healthy individual. Always be sugar high. Yes, you should not be taking too much oily food or sodas before you are going to actually perform, but always have something to eat, because other way you might puke, or other way you may be too dull. So just stay moderate and always have a good diet. Please excuse me, I would like to have some water. I'm really sorry for this. I was actually feeling low. Moving on, relax. Seriously, relax. You can see I am actually under some stress today. I tried to look quite well and to not make it clear, but yes, you're always under some stress, but the best way is to relax. We have already had a lot of our workshops where Binesh, Zargul and other great people have actually told you how can you relax. I cannot stress more upon this. Mark Twain again, I've taken another quote from this famous influencer. He says, there are only two types of speakers in this world, the nervous and the liars. You have only one category, that's the nervous ones, because the others do not really exist. They are the liars. Everyone is nervous. Even if you become the president of your nation or the most greatest influencer of this country or this world, you still would be nervous, because stage is that very thing which makes you nervous, and it's somehow good, because if you're not nervous, you do not practice. So yes, be nervous, but do not show it. Relax, pause, smile, count to smile and begin. Moving on, the next point is trust yourself and be overconfident. Yes, you heard me right. I say be overconfident. Most of you have already seen the promo video that we have just posted yesterday. It was about this very point, be overconfident. You need to do this, because something so good in itself, that's confidence, can never be bad when it's over only if you have had enough practice, and then go to the stage and have that thing in your mind that I will succeed. Think like that, think like an achiever. Imagine the voice of audience, imagine your voice quite clear, loud, and thinking about the audience all rooting up for you because they're there for you. Remember this. Always try to build this extra confidence in you once you have had practiced enough and have put all your efforts. Moving on, next tip I want to give you is realize that, as you can read it, realize that people love you. And this is something I am imagining right now. I am imagining that all of you actually love me a lot. So I know most of you are here to learn something new. Most of you are actually here to listen to me, who know me. Thank you so much. But I will assume that all of you are here out of my love and you really want to listen to me. So always love your audience. They are your friends. They are the ones you're going to talk to. So never ever think like your audience is your enemy. If you love them, you will be trying your best to tell whatever information you have to them. This is the best way you can avoid getting distracted, because if you think your audience loves you, your focus would be entirely upon giving them more and more information, and then you won't be distracted for a minute, and then you'll be able to look into the eye of your audience. Moving on, don't apologize for anything. In already it has been 1 hour 20 minutes. I must have made mistakes. I might have had pronounced some words wrongly. I might have made some grammatical errors. Trust me, no one is perfect, but the key to is that audience might have not even listened to you properly. They might have not even noticed it. So do not try repeating your mistakes, and never apologize for everything. If you forget something, it's okay. Relax, sit back, and then try repeating the previous lines. If you have a good memory, inshallah, you will remember the upcoming sentences. That's the key to it. Never apologize. Moving on, stay focused to your message. You are at a podium today. I am here to tell you the power of speech. I cannot talk about the weather today, and I cannot talk about how you're looking. Most of the mistakes the speakers make once they are called to the stage is that they introduce themselves. It's not wrong when you are the solo speaker and the entire conference is for you. Even then, people know you, but mostly avoid that. You're wasting your time, audience's time. You need to gain your audience's attraction. You how can you gain that? By actually having a very prompt start. So stay focused to your material, have entire information about it, whatever you need to tell your audience to. This is actually the key to it, because a good orator is pointed and impassioned, pointed towards its topic and emotionally portraying it. Moving on to my last tip for today is that gain experience and try again. No big famous speaker was ever successful without a second attempt. I cannot think of any such example where someone stood up one day and actually became a championship of speaking. No, we have good and bad experiences. My very first experience of stage is so bad that I cannot even share that with you. I was in third grade and I went to stage where I was supposed to recite Kul Hu Wallah. I was actually in first grade and I forgot it. But here I am today. I didn't set back. I didn't stop trying. That is the key. Do not give up, because success is achieved by those and maintained by those who always keep trying. I know you must have been very tired already. I'm really sorry, but this is the last point now. that is mastering the rules of speech. I could not have skipped it because this very point is very much necessary for you. If you want to be a professional speaker, you should know the rules and regulations of speech. So you always wonder, how are you being judged? For all those who might have participated in public speeches, in contests, or who want to, for them, this is an important point you surely do not want to miss. We should know, how are we being judged. This is a chart sheet that you can see here. I have picked it from an international declamatory contest. You are always being judged on three important points. Two of them I have already discussed: the content, delivery. Third is your language. You are being judged about the content of your speech. How have you developed your content? A dramatic start, a climax, and a subtle ending. The key I just shared with you: effectiveness of your content. Was it actually effective? Did it actually make the audience learn something? The judge always remembers the value of your speech and your words. Delivery: physical, vocal, manual. I told you delivery. I told you so much about this that I hope you are now content. And once reading this chart, you can say that yes, now we know how to deliver, how much your physical appearance, your voice, and your manner actually matters. And your audience, your judge is actually checking your confidence. You can check in third line here, where it's written quite clearly. The judge questions himself: was the speaker confident? So yes, always look overconfident. Last is language. Let me tell you, you pick the language that you have command over. You are not supposed to always pick English. It's not our mother tongue. And let's say honestly, we are not all perfect in it. Even most of the audience does not understand it. So always go for the language that you have command over, that you have practiced enough, and in which you sound good, in which you can conversate more easily. So appropriateness of your language is actually very much necessary. So always practice the language the language you want to choose, but choose what actually suits you. Moving on, I have just 2 slides left, and I want to share the do's and don'ts of public speaking, debate, declamation, or MUNs with you. This is the slide that I want you all to look into. It's one of my favorites. These are the things you should do. Always adjust your mic before beginning. Once you are at a stage, the heart and soul of you, or the purpose of your presence, is to make your voice understandable. And how can you do that? By your mic. Adjust it properly. There's no shame if you are taking 1 or 2 minutes in that, but always do that. Next tip is that always follow the time duration, because if you are out of your time, you are negatively marked. If your debate is too short and you're not able to prove your points, I am sure you must always complain of the time being less and never too much. Moving on, make eye contact. It's necessary, and since I've put it in the do's, it means it is the point where you are judged. It is the point where you are marked. Was the speaker able to look into the eyes of the audience? That decides if you were confident or not confident. Next point is always begin or end a quote by mentioning it. Quotations are very much necessary because they are the best way by which you are actually giving examples and proving points that have already been spoken. But never begin or end a quotation without mentioning it, otherwise you will be negatively charged. I'll quickly give you an example to this. You can do it in either way: start by mentioning or end by mentioning. How can you do that? For example, Napoleon says, and I quote, "Ability is nothing without the opportunity," unquote. Or you can randomly say, "Ability is nothing without the opportunity," unquote. Napoleon says, and I repeat it because it has importance, or whatever further you want to say. So always begin or end a quote by mentioning it, because that's the point where you lose your marks. And always unquote your quote. Control your nerves. Control your nerves. That's the key to it. Do not get drowned with your emotions. We have had enough workshops for this. I cannot stress more upon this. Please do not make your audience feel like you are nervous. Yes, you can be nervous. You are nervous because you're talking to so many people out there. Yes, but what you need to do is that you have to be a liar and do not pretend it to your audience. So these were some of the do's, and last is open your chest and your arms, stay composed, hold your rostrum tight. If you are drowning, it will help you stand firm and then talk to your audience like you owe it. That's the key. Moving on to the don'ts. This very slide is the last slide of my presentation. These are some of the don'ts which I want to tell you. Never do that. Never paper read. I have actually put 2 pages here, but I hope so. I never made you feel like I was looking at a paper, because I actually memorized my content. All you need to do is always learn your content thoroughly. Always remember it. At least try to do that. Yes, you can fear to forget when there are too many points, like for today's workshop, which was for like 1 hour and 30 minutes already. So what you need to do is that write down some points on a page, quite clear, quite bold, so that you can read them. If you skip something, you place them at the rostrum before you go there. Never take pages while going to the stage. That's the point where you lose all of your marks. Judges already know you have pages in your hand. Never do that. If you really feel the need, put the pages on the rostrum beforehand. Talk to whoever can help you with that, but never do this mistake of taking the pages with you. Never paper read, and must avoid it. Yes, you are a human being, you can forget some points, and that's why you need to have a lot of content, so that if you even miss 1 or 2 points, it's completely fine. Next point is avoid use of words that you have difficulty in pronouncing. One badly pronounced word is more dangerous than all the correctly ones, because you're stuck there. Never get stuck. You don't have the need to choose difficult words. Come on, who's the audience? They're your friends, they're people like you. They want to understand you, rather than you show them that you know a lot of vocab. So all you need is to wisely choose your words. Choose your words that are easy to pronounce, because wrongly pronounced words can actually lead to negative marking. Do not ever use hate remarks about someone. You are in a debate, you are actually having an argument, but never ever directly say that for example, someone's party or someone did this and did that. Do not point. Present your content in a way where you are just manipulating with the audience with your words. You are making your point, but do not directly portray hate remarks. Never point a finger at someone from the audience. What happens mostly, this is something which is not the part of the actual judgmental list or the judging list that is adopted in most of the universities or colleges, but this is something that I personally feel very bad. Once a speaker was on the stage and he pointed at his opponents and said, all of these stupid people would now say, I was actually very much offended. So never point a finger directly to someone. Yes, you need to point it when you are speaking points. Always keep your hands like this. I hope you're able to see me. Never do this. It actually feels that you're targeting someone. Avoid doing that. Yes, you when you are in full emotions, it happens that there comes a need where you can point, but try to avoid it as much as you can. And yes, what can make you perfect is practice. Do not lean over something. How would I be actually looking if I were delivering you the speech today like this? Definitely so confused, so nervous, or do not sway. So your posture is the key to it. Look composed, sit decently, talk decently, stand formally. Your legs can be shaky, but the rostrum is your friend, it's hiding it. So yes, please avoid leaning over. Ladies and gentlemen, this was all that I could mention today, that I could share with you today. I truly hope that I was able to make my points clear. I hope most of you would have actually learned something from today's workshop, and I hope I was able to explain some points quite well.